Welcome to Distress to Joyful, Bailey's Way. I'm your host, Bailey Raber, here to enlighten you and the rest of the world about one of the most misunderstood mental disorders out there, bipolar disorder. Each week, we're going to learn more about my personal journey with the disorder while leaving you enriched with new information on how you can help better yourself as well as those around you. Hello, my friends. I took a hiatus, and y'all, I am no longer apologizing for doing so. I really never should have apologized for doing so. I mean, let's be real here. Never apologize for taking the time to do the things that you need to do. But I finally took my own advice, and I rested while I was stressed. So if you've caught up on all of the latest episodes, you might remember episode 10, where I talked very specifically about, not specifically, I feel like that's not the best term, but you know what I mean. I talked more in detail about the importance of taking time to rest when we're stressed, taking time to rest before we get stressed so we don't hit that burnout level, and just taking the time to fill our own cups first. I mean, how can we expect to pour into others if we're not full first, right? Like imagine a teapot. You can't fill a cup with an empty teapot, right? Hope that was a good visual for you guys. So I have some big news that I am super, super excited about. I am going to college. And that might not sound like a very big deal to some of you, but for me, it really is. Y'all, I'm 27 years old, and I am enrolled in my local community college where I will soon begin taking courses to help me obtain my dream career, fashion design. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be a long process, and I'm aware of that. When you work full-time and you have a million hobbies, you can't really take more than one course at once, and that's totally fine with me. I'm here to take it slow. The reason I never did college like it's something you just do, the reason I never, experienced the college world was because, one, I couldn't afford it. I was one of those kids who grew up from a family that decided if you are going to college, you are going to pay for it yourself. Most of my friends, they got the college experience. They went to school. Their parents either funded it or helped them get loans or whatever the case might be. And personally, I decided that loans was something I was not willing to obtain. Student loans just sound really scary. I'm sure some of y'all who have student loans right now who are paying them off are sitting there saying, oh my God, yes, they are scary. Why did I do this? Or some of you are probably thankful for your loans, whatever the case might be. But personally, that was just not a route I was willing to take, especially because the last 2 years of high school for me were just filled with depression that turned into a significant drop in my grades. Significant, like so significant that I failed English 2 out of the six weeks. I don't know how many high schools in America still do this, but my high school had 3 6 weeks within each semester. And so because I just failed 1 6 weeks the first semester and 1 6 weeks the second semester, I didn't fail English. So that's great, right? But my grades were still significantly lower then than they were when I first started high school as a freshman. So, when you're in a big depressive rut, especially when you don't realize that it's a depressive rut, you really don't have faith in yourself. And if nobody else has a very strong faith in you that gets you going and motivated and keeps you going and motivated, you don't really see things happening even if you wanted them to. And guys, I wanted them to. I did want to go to college. I wanted to pursue fashion design, but I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could pass my classes. I didn't think I could keep up with the course load. And I even got accepted into a university into their fashion design program, and I turned it down in the end and I didn't do it. So, besides, the whole monetary issue, it was more of a lack in belief in myself. And while that's sad, it is sad, especially because I'm the opposite today. I have sometimes too much faith in myself. I know that that's a common struggle of kids, and I think that the whole college thing is a really big pressure on high school kids, and it shouldn't be. I think everybody just has this idea that you have to go to school, and if you don't go, then you're a failure or you're a loser or you won't get a good job. But I am here not to be on the Debbie Downer side of this. I am on the positive outlook of I am finally doing something that I should have done a decade ago, which is go to school for fashion design. Yes. And I'm so proud of myself for taking the steps to enroll. I did all of the stupid things like the TSI test, which I did not enjoy at all, which I did pass, excitingly. I'm going to have to start by taking a course that has nothing to do with fashion design or my interest whatsoever. But I know that each little step is getting me 1 inch closer to my end goal. So I hope that some of you out there hear this and see it as an encouragement that, you can do the hard things. You can do the hard things. You just need to find someone who believes in you. And more importantly, you need to believe in yourself. I mean, it's a combination of the two. It helps when others believe in you too. And step outside of your comfort zone and do the things needed to make your dreams come true. Do it. I believe in you. If no one else believes in you, I'll believe in you. I really will. Okay. That's a good start to this episode. Yes. Okay. So let me start by saying this before we move on into reckless driving and my bipolar disorder. Let's just set the record straight that everyone is different. Everyone is different, guys. Remember that. Once again, let me drill that into your mind. Everyone is different. And generalizing groups of people is so 2008. So we're definitely not going to be doing that here, today, right now, in this episode. We are not. I'm making that clear. Okay? Okay. So, in an article that I read titled, Can You Drive with Bipolar Disorder?, which I found on everydayhealth.com, they say that while manic episodes are notorious for causing reckless, aggressive driving, it doesn't happen to all of those diagnosed. Dr. Paul S. Applebaum states that very disorganized, symptomatic people often continue to drive through their illnesses and have a perfect driving record. You see? So with that being said, let's discuss how my bipolar 2 disorder has affected my driving record from the time that I got my license until the not so distant past. Let's just put it that way. All right, so my first car accident occurred when I was 16 years old. I was such a little inexperienced baby driver. I had literally gotten my license like 2 months before this whole thing occurred. And I had driven myself and my high school boyfriend at the time to this cute little Italian restaurant called Bella Roma. It was family owned and it was authentic, and it was just a cute little date night scene for me and my precious little high school boyfriend. I even wore a skirt that I made. I remember that specifically because I was wearing high heels when I was driving. Not the best idea as a 16-year-old. Let me just make that clear. So, as we were leaving, I was, putting the car in reverse because that's how you back out of parking spots. And I accidentally hit the gas instead of the brake while I was backing out of the parking spot. Talk about embarrassing, first of all. Second of all, I blame those high heels. I really do blame those high heels. I don't blame anything on my emotional state at the time. I was probably very happy before the incident occurred. Probably. But I slammed into the back of a truck. Thankfully, only my car was damaged. The other vehicle had a really nice, shiny metal bumper that destroyed my plastic bumper. Oh, man. I remember this like, oh, so vividly. And so the little high school boyfriend got out and he checked and he's like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's okay. Just go. And so we go and I hear something as we're driving and it turns out that part of my bumper cracked, which meant part of the other plastic piece of my car just started flying off and I was bawling and I was sobbing and what are my parents going to say? Like it was so awful. Just got my license not even 2 months ago and I'm already destroying shit. Like, this is not a good start, y'all. This is not a good start. Oh, man. And so, I'm not going to go into any more detail on this because I'm not here to just like talk about all my embarrassing car accidents. There's a point I'm trying to make with these. Although these are funny now, they were not funny at the time. Let me make that clear. Lots of tears were shed, okay? Oh, God, lots of them. Okay, so the next car accident occurred when I was 17 years old. I was rushing to leave school one day. This was probably just over a year after the first incident because it was the spring of junior year. I remember that specifically. And so I was rushing to leave school one day and I somehow, don't even ask, I can't even answer it. I somehow slammed into the side of Austin Wood's truck as he was also leaving. And I used his full name for a reason. You'll see in a minute because there was a little trend involved. It was also, anyways, let me just finish the story first. So I slammed into his truck and I was already having such a shitty day. Depression had already swooped in on me so hard by junior year. And, in an attempt to escape the hellhole of that day at school, which I don't know exactly if anything major actually occurred or if it was just my depression that had just, consumed me. And I remember I was already crying in the car when I hit him. So when I got out of the car, it just made everything worse and the tears were flowing even harder. And I remember it being so awkward. This poor sweet guy, he just kind of stood there and he, even though he was the victim, because I fucking hit his truck and like really damaged it, he was consoling me so nice. And he gave me a little hug. He was like, it's okay. It's not that big a deal. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God, panicking even more because I know it is a big of a deal because I actually damaged his car, so my insurance is going to go up. My parents were, again, not going to be happy, but hey, at least my car was still drivable. That's the positive of this. Probably the only positive of this. Oh, man. So, I don't know if I mentioned in the first incident, but the first incident, it was also still drivable. We ended up, what is it called when you just, rig something up to make it stay? My grandpa was so sweet. That piece that was hanging off my car, he was able to make it not hang off anymore. So, drivable from the back end. Now I've hit with the front end, and it's still drivable. My poor little Toyota Corolla. It was very bruised and beat up, but it still loved me and ran continuously. Because then, when I was 18 years old, I was at the premiere, the midnight release, I should say. It was a very big deal, of The Hunger Games. It was an exciting times in the small town of Lake Jackson, Texas, where nothing big ever happens. So when there's a midnight premiere and the entire high school is there, it was a big deal, especially on a school night. I don't know how I convinced my parents to let me go, but I did. And then they probably regretted it because I came home hitting another vehicle. Their favorite thing to hear out of my mouth. I guarantee it. Yep. I backed my car into Robert Wood's truck as I was trying to leave the parking lot. And I was backing up. I remember this very clearly. The stupid windows were fogged over. It was, again, springtime. I don't know what it is about the second semester of high school, but it's very bad luck for all drivers. If you are a new driver, beware of semester 2 of whatever year of high school you are in. It is cursed. Okay, it's probably not cursed. It was really just me. Anyways, the back window was completely fogged over. I remember my sister was in the front seat, and I rolled all the windows down, and I was trying to see, and everybody's scrambling to get out of this parking lot because now it's like 2:33 in the morning, and we all have school the next day. I mean, can you imagine, like, I don't know how many, 300, however many people they could fit in these freaking theaters are all jammed into this parking lot, all backing out, trying to leave, trying to go home to get sleep because they have stupid school tomorrow. And chaos occurs. I couldn't see. I backed up anyways. Very smart move on my part. And I plowed right into the side of his truck. Thankfully, my car was once again still drivable. That trusty old Toyota Corolla. Unfortunately, the damage on his car, even though, or truck, it was a truck again, it was still drivable. Although the insurance did need to get it fixed because it was pretty badly damaged, I remember. Sorry about that. But the joke was after that, which it's funny now. It wasn't so funny at the time when I was a depressed high school student who didn't need negative attention cast upon me. The joke was that everybody was telling my good friend Maddie Wood to watch out because she was going to be the next one to be victimized by me in a car accident because first it was Austin Wood, then it was Robert Wood, and then now Maddie Wood was next. I am very pleased to say that I never hit Maddie Wood's car. Uh, oh man, I just remember those terrible, terrible teasings from that, but it's funny now that I'm an adult and have moved on. So, anyways, guys, this pattern of one new car accident per year unfortunately continued on until I was 23. Yeah, you heard that right. 20 fucking 3. That is a lot of accidents spread out over a number of years. So many accidents that State Farm decided that it was too much and they literally kicked me out. Yeah, guys, my record was so bad that State Farm labeled me as too risky to insure. It was terrible. Oh my God. I remember getting the letter and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? I was only on State Farm because I was previously on it on my parents'. And then when I moved out of their house, I got my own insurance. And then State Farm was like, nope, sorry, bye. And then nobody wanted to insure me. And it was super freaking expensive and terrifying. I had Elephant Auto for like 3 years, guys. Elephant Auto. Thankfully, I never actually, no, I did actually have to have a claim with Elephant Auto. I did, like 2 claims. And they were actually not terrible. I figured they would be terrible because they were the cheapest I could find. But, oh man, how I do not miss those days at all. But y'all, let's dig a little bit further into this. So, what exactly caused all of these accidents? And no, I'm going to cut you off right now. I don't believe that I was just a bad driver. Although State Farm probably thinks differently. No, I really believe that it was much deeper than that. That my emotional state and my unmanaged bipolar disorder at the time spurred these incidents time after time after time. So I know I mentioned 3 accidents, and they continued on. I mean, I don't even want to count how many accidents I was in. It was a lot. It was definitely two hands worth of counting, guys. Like, oh, so embarrassing and so expensive. Oh, God, so expensive. Mainly because I had to pay for other people's vehicles. Thankfully, my trusty one just kept looking more and more shabby, but running just fine. But when it comes to the accidents outside of high school, most of those occurred, unfortunately, in the open road, not in parking lots. Because I had this really, really bad habit that anytime I was feeling any type of emotion that was just too much for me to handle, I would just get into my car and I would take a drive. Oftentimes, I would also stop in a drive through of any fast food restaurant I found during my hour or more of aimless driving. Ugh, this terrible habit of mine came about when I was in high school. I think it really started the summer after sophomore year. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of when it all began. And it was just a way for me to escape the atmosphere of my home. Unfortunately, I don't come from a super loving and accepting family. And so anytime I was feeling any emotions that I just couldn't handle, I didn't want to be anywhere near my family because I didn't want them to bother me and ask what was going on or why am I crying or whatever because they would. They would just badger me with it. And that's not exactly something that is easily explained when you don't know why you're feeling a certain way. When you're depressed and you are crying uncontrollably and you don't know why, and someone comes up to you and starts badgering you on why, what's wrong, blah, 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 I need you to tell me, and you don't have an answer, it's really awkward and frustrating. It's so frustrating for me, the person who's feeling the things. If I could tell you why I was crying like this, I fucking would. But if you can't accept that I don't know, leave me alone. And I learned very quickly that it wasn't worth dealing with these feelings and emotions in the vicinity of individuals who would attack me on it. I mean, unfortunately, that's how I felt. I felt attacked when they would come up and bother me with these things that were really none of their business, anyways. They weren't consoling, they weren't being empathetic. So I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. And this habit of driving around aimlessly unfortunately continued on into my 20s, even when I lived completely alone. You know what they say, old debits. Old habits die hard. It's very true. So, when I was feeling angry behind the wheel, I would often speed and just drive recklessly as hell. And I'm talking about, running through lights that I probably shouldn't have attempted, weaving in and out of cars, just honking at people, tailgating, just the full road rage package. And just to be clear, this type of behavior was only exhibited when I was alone, so no one else's life was in any type of danger besides my own. So then, when I'd be behind the wheel and hypomania would kick in, I would be feeling so good that I felt like I could just speed without getting caught. I felt that I could make that light that was already about to turn red and definitely should not have attempted either. And that turning that corner super freaking fast was actually fun and not dangerous at all. Yeah, also not a great mindset to be in behind the wheel, especially when you have no destination. And then there were times when I was very sad and depressed, and I would be crying while I was driving. That might not sound like much of a hazard, but in reality, it really is. First of all, you aren't in the right state of mind. And then you can't fucking see because the tears are blurring your vision and blocking your view, and it's just not good. It's like when it's raining and there's just rain that's so hard you can't really see. It's like that, but worse because there's no windshield wipers of your eyes, okay? It's just there. And Also, the worst part about it all is that if you're severely depressed and you're driving, again, with no destination, you don't really care if you get into a wreck or not because depression has taken over your sanity. That's unfortunately one of the hard realities of that right there. But guys, we're going to end on a positive and hopeful note. Because yes, while this was my pattern and my behaviors for years, I mean, 16 to 23, God, that's a good 7 years of the same things happening over and over again. But now at 27, I am so happy to say that that is no longer me. Now, when I'm feeling angry or sad and I have some big emotions that I need to really feel or just kind of work through, I turn to much healthier and usually much cheaper outlets. I mean, come on, y'all. Gas prices are rising. Can you imagine how much money I spent on gas back in the day? I don't even want to tell you how often I used to fill up. It's sad. Anyways, my last car accident was in August of 2017, which is now 4 years ago. 4 years ago, guys. That's a really awesome milestone. And again, this might not mean anything to some of you who have the perfect clean driving record. And that's great. And I'm so happy that you have never had to experience any of the shit that I had to. But for me to say that I have had 4 years of no speeding tickets, no car accidents, no anything amongst, in the realms of destroying vehicles or other people's property, that is phenomenal. And I am going to relish in all of the milestones that I can. And you should too, guys. You should too. I am so happy to say that my car insurance has also decreased because of this fact. It decreases every year, and it just makes me even more thrilled because I am cheap and I don't like to spend money on things. So it makes me super, super happy. And I'm just in a much better place, guys. And that is why, back to the beginning, that is why I said that I don't believe that I was just a bad driver. Because if I was, quote, just a bad driver, I would still be having all kinds of accidents and speeding tickets and all kinds of bullshit still lining up. But 2018 was the turning point in my life. 2018, I decided that I was going to get healthy. I was going to manage my bipolar disorder, and I was going to become happy. I was going to become truly happy for the life that I have, the life that I have been given, and the people that I, get to spend my time with. So after doing that, after becoming physically and definitely mentally healthy, guess what? The car accidents disappeared. Literally vanished. It's awesome. For any of you who are hurting or struggling and need to find a healthy outlet, check out episode 2, Anger Management Bailey's Way, where you will learn a couple different really awesome techniques. Really awesome. I think they're really awesome. Techniques and different coping mechanisms that you can turn to instead of things like aimlessly driving your vehicle or binge drinking or anything else that is unhealthy. And also, please, 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 if you are feeling any type of emotion and not in the right state of mind, any type of emotion, I mean like anger, depression, sadness, anything that's just overwhelming and just, taking over your whole state of being, please, please, please do not get behind the wheel. Please. I am so, so blessed and grateful that none of my accidents caused any fatalities. but unfortunately, not everybody can say the same. So take a walk or go for a run if you need to really get out to clear your mind. It's a lot healthier and cheaper, I might add, and so, so good for your body, both physically and mentally. Alrighty, so next episode, we are going to discuss manic spending sprees. Holy moly, I used to be the queen of this shit. Not that I'm proud of it, because I definitely got myself into some financial pickles back in the day. But I'm hoping that this topic will, help those with loved ones who engage in these behaviors to understand them a bit more. And also to help those who currently struggle with this to know that, hey, you're not alone and there is a way out. Shopping can be just as detrimental as an alcohol addiction. Shopping can also be an addiction, guys, just in case you weren't aware. Alrighty, well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the show. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I thoroughly enjoy sharing my experiences with you guys. I know that they're helping y'all. I know that they're helping others, and it brings me a lot of joy to know that sharing mistakes in my past and things that I have overcome is helping to show light for others. So, if you really enjoy the show and you want to leave a review, please do so on Apple Podcasts. I melt every time I see a new one pop up. I share them on Instagram, and most of the time they make me cry. So please tell me how you feel. I really appreciate it. And if you have any suggestions or think there's improvements, please share that too. I'm open to any and all discussions on good and bad, y'all. I'm here for you. So, until next time, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye!